Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be looking at the DBX Compressor 286S. So basically this is the sound that you're hearing right now. So we're using the Shure SM7B microphone that is plugged into the back of the compressor. This is how the back of the compressor looks like. So it goes into the mic input, then out of the compressor, goes into the audio interface via jack to XLR. So that is how we've got it connected up. And then we're just going to walk through some of the settings on the DBX just to show you exactly what it does. So I mean, this is perfect if you're going to be live streaming, if you're going to be doing podcasts, if you're going to be doing radio shows, you're going to be doing voiceovers, anything that you require that needs a little bit of processing, but you need to do it on the fly. So you don't need to do this afterwards in the edit. It is all done live. So just to give you an idea of what the DBX actually does, there is a button on here that says process bypass. And what that does is exactly what it says on the tin. It just bypasses everything. So as soon as I press this, you will hear now this is the microphone without anything on it at all. So it's no compression, there's no gate on it, there's no enhancements. This is just the clean feed from the SM7B. So yeah, there's a big difference. So then we go and we press this again. That is then with the processing back on. So massive difference. And as I said, if you're doing this for live streaming, this is going to be just perfect for that because you're not going to need to do any editing. It's all going to be done on the fly live. So let's go through some of the steps then. So the first thing that you'll come across over here is the gain. So this is basically what signal the compressor is going to be getting now, because this is quite a low gain microphone. It does need quite a high gain over here. So pretty much up to the max there. You want to be kind of occasionally touching the yellow, never touching the red. Of course, you don't want to be clipping, but around about the second green light, first yellow light occasionally, that is round about where you want your level to be. Then of course you get the 48 volt phantom power if your microphone requires that. Just of course make sure your microphone does require that before you put that on. And then over here you've got the 80 hertz high pass filter. So basically anything 80 hertz and below, that will cancel out. Now you're not going to hear that in a human voice. It's really going to be planes going over by or mic rumbles. So that's safe enough to have that on. Then of course you want the process bypass off. So if you have that on, nothing further up the chain is going to be affected. So to start bringing the effects in, we're going to press the bypass off and we're going to bring the compressor right down there. So far the compressor isn't working then. So this is just how it sounds without the compressor. Drive, you've got drive and you've got density. So drive is basically how much your voice is going to get compressed. So it's going to be like a straight line the further you turn that up. So there's not going to be much of a dynamic range between your voice if that is turned up. So the more that we turn this up, the more you're going to hear my voice get crushed and everything is going to be, so even if I'm speaking really soft, it will still stay at the same volume output. As I speak loudly into the microphone, it's going to crush the voice when it gets too high, and it's going to bring the voice up if I'm speaking too low. So I have that round about 3 or 4. I think it sounds more natural because I think if you turn it right up, then you're going to be really compressed and sometimes it can sound a little bit unnatural. So yeah, we have that around about 3 or 4. Then the density is basically how hard the compressor is going to work. So if I turn that right down, the compressor is going to hold on after it's finished working because it doesn't know what you're going to do next. So it's going to be working slower. So yes, you can see there, the lights take longer to go out. And then if you turn it right up to 10, the compressor is going to be working to the full capacity then. So you can hear it working faster as you speak, which I think for voiceovers and for voice work, that's where you want it to be. You want the compressor to be working as fast as it is. So then you come along to the De-Esser, and all this De-Esser does really is takes out some of the S sounds in your voice. If I turn this threshold, first of all, if I turn that right up, it's going to sound like I'm having a cold because it's going to take out all of those S frequencies and it's going to just sound a little bit overkill. So you kind of want that down. And I find the S sounds in my voice anyway, the sibilant sounds is what they're called, is just over the 4K mark there. So I've put that frequency at 4K. Then the threshold is how much, and again, how hard it's going to be working. So the more you turn that up, the more it's going to start removing those frequencies. Again, for a natural sound, I've kind of got that round about the 2 mark, because again, you kind of want it to light up now and again when you say those sounds, but you don't want to be working all of the time because it is going to sound like you've got a cold. So what the enhancer does is enhance the low and the high frequency. So the more I turn the low frequency up, you're going to hear my voice get deeper and deeper. which is a little bit too much. There's too much low end on there. So again, I find that to be around about the 6 or 7 mark. Again, for your voice, it could be completely different. Then you've got the high detail. It just adds a bit more clarity to your voice. And again, as you add that a little bit more, it can sound a little bit tinny. Again, depending on your voice, these settings may be totally different. But again, I find that around about 6 or 7 just to add a little bit of clarity into your voice. And I think that's round about where it sits well. Again, you can just double check what you're doing, because all you're going to do is press process bypass, and then this is the before, and then this is the after. So you can kind of compare it by doing that. Then you've got the box of tricks on this DBX compressor is the expander and the gate. So basically, the way to explain this, if you think of a garden gate, right? So when you're speaking, the garden gate is going to be open, and when you're not speaking, the garden gate is going to be closed. Now, that is identified by the little lights here. So when I talk, the green light is going to show, and when I don't talk, it's going to be red. So the threshold is where you're going to set what you're going to be letting through. So just to demonstrate this, so if I turn this right down, it's going to let everything through that gate. So there you can hear the room noise then there. So I think a good way to judge it is just hear the room noise and bring it up until you don't hear any background noise, which I think is round about there. Now, you can't have that too high, because the more you turn that up, the less it's going to let through, and then you're going to hear some of your voice just come in and out, and you're going to hear it when it sounds wrong. And I find that round about -30 for me. Again, for you and your room noise, it may be a little bit different. Also, it depends how you're using the microphone. If you're going to be really close up to the microphone, or you're going to be quite far away. The second one here, this is basically how hard that gate is going to be opening and closing. So it's going to be slower when you turn it this way, which you can hear the room noise in the background there, and it's going to close faster when you turn it up there, which sometimes I think can be a little bit too much, because you can kind of hear that gate opening and closing. So I find that to be just over the 2-to-1 mark. Okay, so around about 2-to-1, it's working halfway. It's not working too fast where you'll be able to hear it, but it's working fast enough that when I stop, it's going to cancel out that room noise. And then the final one you have is the output. So this is what is going to your audio interface. So the best way to check that is to look at the little meter that you have on your audio interface. We've got the Big Knob Studio over there, which, by the way, if you want to see the review and the setup of the Big Knob Studio, just check out the video, and the link will be in the description. So the gain and the output, round about -10 for this one, because again, you've got the little indicator here of the clip. So you don't want to be clipping, because if I turn that up, it's going to get even louder and louder, and you're going to hear for most of it. But for this particular setup then, I've got that at -10. So you can either check it in the meter of your audio interface, or you can check it on the software that you're recording on. So that is the general overview of the DBX 286S compressor. So again, for live streaming, it's going to be absolutely perfect for recording podcasts, for recording radio shows, anything that you either can't edit on the spot, or you don't want to go and edit things after. This is going to just add that little bit to your voice and just make it so much more easy to handle in the edit, and also for your viewers to listen to as well. Because again, if we do this one more time, we're going to compare. You can hear the difference. But the big thing being is, especially if you have a noisy environment, you have, I don't know, maybe you've got kids downstairs, maybe you've got people outside, that expander gate is one of the big selling points for me. That is why I chose this particular compressor. And then really you've just got the added bonus features of the enhancements and the compressor built in as well. So I think overall, if you're going to be doing anything to do with your voice, this is going to be the one to go for. So hopefully that all made sense. And of course, you can let me know your views. If you have this, or maybe you're thinking of buying this, let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you like this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel for more videos and turn on your notifications.